Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, there is again a movement afoot in our nation to try to remove Confederate monuments primarily, or in many situations, any monument that might have any relationship whatsoever to slavery. And just this past week, a statue of Christopher Columbus was torn down in Richmond, Virginia, and tossed into a lake. Thankfully, that statue has been retrieved, as I understand it, from the lake. But there was some graffiti sprayed on the base of that statue that basically said Columbus was guilty of genocide and all kinds of ludicrous comments and statements that were made with respect to that are made quite frequently when it comes to this particular issue. So again, this is front and center again. And so, Dan, I want to go to you. You and I, again, we're talking on a TV program that we do each evening, and I've done it for about 64 days now. You made a comment about the removal of these statues, and you said it has really nothing to do with trying to remove Confederate statues. It goes much deeper than that. It is an attempt to purge our nation of its history, even its negative parts. And you believe that is not just a bad idea, you believe that's a horrible idea. Why do you believe that to be the case?
Well, Davis, we were talking the other night on our program. Really what you're witnessing here is an attempt to remove our history. And Dave, I want to quote another radio host, Bishop E.W. Jackson. He's on American Family Radio. He's a black man. And he has made some great comments about this controversy. He said, look, if we're saying that you cannot benefit from a person because they were a former slave owner or because in the past they had some opinion that was wrong, some belief that was wrong, then you're ruling out, some tremendous ideas and some tremendous people because they weren't correct, so to speak, on every issue. And we're also not giving them the privilege of growing and learning and changing their ideas, which many of our founding fathers did over time relative to slavery. And I agree with him, Dave. These men that were our founding fathers, some of which owned slaves, were human beings just like we are, flawed human beings just like we are. And if we rule out any of their beliefs or any of their ideas or any of the things that they have done that have benefited our nation just because of one issue or a couple issues, we're not going to have too many people, Dave, that we can listen to and follow and benefit from. But the bottom line is this. If you look at what's going on in our country, it has nothing to do with the Confederacy. It has nothing to do with it. It's an attempt to rob our nation of our history, to rob our nation of its heritage. Good, bad, all of it involved. America is what she is because of all of our history. Dave, I remember some years ago, the first time I went to the Air and Space Museum after the Enola Gay exhibit was put up. Now, I've been in the Air and Space Museum many times, but this was right after they put the Enola Gay exhibit in. There were protests by Japanese Americans saying you're glorifying the killing of Japanese people. No, we're not. We're just remembering part of America's history. And the point is this, if we're going to get a full understanding of America, we got to look at all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, as the old saying goes. And Dave, really, if you follow what these radical protesters are doing, it has nothing to do with the Confederacy. They want to remove anything that has to do with our nation's history. As you and I were talking about the other day, there's even talk now of taking down the Washington Monument, taking down the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C., how ludicrous that is.